Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. We are here with another Longhorn Weekly here on Bleacher Report, talking Texas. They are officially making their SEC debut, this Saturday at DKR against Mississippi State Bulldogs. And, Texas still number one in the country. Really excited to talk with you guys. Tap in the chat if you're watching here on the Bleacher Report app. Really excited to be here. Thank you to Bleacher Report. So tap in on the app and we will talk via chat. But a few things I wanted to discuss today. Number one, just the preview and outlook and feeling and finally getting into conference play. Texas, number one in the country, 4-0 in non-con. I've had a couple games since Michigan against UTSA, against ULM. Now it's time to get into the meat of the schedule. Mississippi State, then a bye week, and then we finally face the heavy hitters, Oklahoma, our big rivalry game, Georgia onward. But Mississippi State is the first SEC game for Texas. And I'm going to talk, about Quinn Ewers versus Arch Manning, right? Who should start and what that would look like for us here. So I'm actually put a poll together. Who should, let's put this poll out here right now. Who should start on Saturday versus Mississippi State? Quinn or Arch? All right, we'll put that out there. You guys let me know. But trying to have a little bit more interaction here. So the way I see it, and I've been very adamant about this on my YouTube channel, Fanatic Perspective. If Quinn Ewers is healthy, he should start this football game on Saturday. And I'm going to give you a few reasons why. If Quinn Ewers is healthy, he should start this football game on Saturday. Quinn has only played, I believe, 8 quarters of the first 4 games here against Mississippi State on Saturday, in my opinion. He's only played 8 quarters of football. He needs the reps. He needs the work with so many new guys still within our offense. When I say new guys, I'm even talking about the transfer portal guys. Yes, they've played a lot of football in non-con already. Yes, they went up to Michigan and handled their business. Yes, they are number one. The meat of the schedule, the hard defenses, the complicated stuff is coming. And while that is coming, I want my guys there's nothing like game reps. There's nothing like game reps. Okay. So when we're over here live bullets and working on certain things and teams like Mississippi State are throwing out different looks and coverages, those are the times where we can really, really, really see what we got. Look no further than Arch Manning's first start last week against ULM. Arch, with all the promise and everybody's talking about him being a Heisman contender and all these things and trying to skip steps, those became invaluable game reps to him. And I told you guys, Arch would have, if he starts slow, it's more about how he responds to that and what it looks like for him in terms of, ooh, okay, this isn't high school. Things are a little bit faster. How do I, what can I get away with? Am I doing too much, right? Do I need to slow down my thinking? I'll get to OU in a second, but good question. I will get to that in a second. That's important and critical to a quarterback's development, especially in Sark's offense and it being so multi-tiered and complex. And with that even layer of experience that Quinn has, I want his timing and everything to be sharp. We have a bye week after Mississippi State. I know a lot of people are thinking, Steve, why put Quinn in harm's way? He's been injured before. He's battled injuries in the past. He's missed time every year. Hey, Steve, he came back in 2022 cold against OU. He didn't play for a month after Bama, and he was fine in the OU game. And yeah, you'd be correct. But that was a different OU defense in 2022. This is a much better OU defense that Texas will be facing in a couple weeks. We'll have some more tape as they go to Auburn, and then they'll have a bye as well. But this will be a much better OU defense that will face. Oh, and by the way, you'll face Georgia afterwards. The two best defenses that you'll face will be back-to-back weeks. Yes, OU and Georgia, to me, are better or bigger test defensively than even Michigan was, in my opinion. So I want my guys with reps. There's a reason Jaden Blue played last week and took 25 carries. You could have sat him too, right? I mean, the spread on this Mississippi State game is 38 points right now. By the way, it's the largest spread in the SEC since, I believe, Alabama and Vanderbilt. Yeah, I think it was Alabama and Vanderbilt or something like that, which was 40.5. So when we're looking at this, it's crazy that Texas first game in the SEC, the spread is so large. And I'll get to why that is when we look at Mississippi State and kind of break them down. But going back to Quinn and Arch, Quinn has a lot on the table for his own individual accolades. Yes, I want him out there to put his Heisman numbers up, selfishly for him. I want him out there to get in rhythm with his guys. I want that timing. I also want the mental capacity for himself to prove that he can stay freaking healthy. To be out there to prove, like, I'm a football player. And Quinn wants to play. He's practicing this week. I mean, Sark's already said that. But I don't believe in bubble wrapping guys. I think that makes them, have a weak mentality. I mean, you bubble wrap the guy and then he goes out there against OU and what if he gets hurt then? Like, how long are we going to, bubble wrap guys? At some point, they're football players that need to play. And I think Jaden Blue even realized that last week. If I'm healthy, I should play. Quinn Ewers is healthy. He needs to play. The other thing, too, speaking on OU, if you want to bring up the example from a couple years ago, okay, sure. He played 2022, and we know what he did up in Dallas. Quinn struggled the rest of the season after that. No one ever talks about what happened after the OU game. We only talk about, he balled out in the OU game and all was well. But he struggled for a good chunk of the rest of the Big 12 schedule. Yes, a lot of that had to do with freshman woes and things of that sort, but just out of funk of timing. I don't want people sitting if they can play. This team is a juggernaut right now. If we are who we say we are with our offensive line, if Quinn is who he is as a decision maker, you start this game against Mississippi State, you come out there, you whoop their ass in the first half, and then Arch Manning plays. A lot of people are saying, this is another opportunity for Arch to get reps. Well, if we do what we should do, Arch will be playing plenty of reps this Saturday regardless. And we can have both. And Quinn can get his work. They need work. You're seeing these NFL guys that didn't play in the preseason and how rusty they can get when they don't play. And then they just jump into high-level competition. And again, if you want to reference 2022, to me, that is an outlier. And go look at what Quinn was after that game. Missing time. There's a reason why the NFL guys are big on guys on availability and not missing time. So with everything that's coming up, especially a bye after this, he needs to play. And Arch can get his reps in, get the work that he needs. Right now, they've both of them done a terrific job. 15-4 touchdown to interception ratio amongst the two. Just playing really, really good football. We'll go through the stats here in a second. You said, funny how the narrative changes from the SEC being a gauntlet top to bottom to Texas got to break with the schedule. Look, I've said for years, the SEC they've been living on Alabama and Georgia's coattails and LSU when they're good. It's been a top-heavy conference. I mean, let's talk about Mississippi State, right? I mean, this is a team that's coming in here who took an L to Arizona State, got blown out at home against Toledo, and then got, went and lost to a meh Florida team, and that's being kind. A Florida team, by the way, that set a record for highest completion percentage. They completed between DJ Lagway and Graham Mertz. They completed 93% of their passes against Mississippi State last week, by the way. Gleason, the quarterback from Toledo, went 23 or 28. And then Scattaboo, the running back at Arizona State, ran for 260. The big Mike Allstott looking kid. So they've given it up every which way defensively, Mississippi State has. If you actually go and look at their Pro Football Focus grades, they are an orange. And orange means you're like below 50 as a grade. They're orange in tackling, in pass rush, and coverage. Dead last in the SEC. As a matter of fact, let me pull up. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and we can pull up some of these numbers just to look at while we're talking, because I'm not even trying to create fluff here, and we'll they're mid-tier offensively, on the left of their offensive stats. 22.7 is not real great. I mean, that's 85th in the country, 9th in yards. They're a bear and shoot offense under Jeff Levy, so they're going to go tempo, and for the most part, they like to put the ball in the air because they're not efficient really on the ground. As you look at that, they only average 3 yards per carry. They do run it quite a bit between the quarterback and the run game, but as we know, Blake Shapen is out for the season. So we will see Chris Parson, former Duncanville quarterback, former Red Oak quarterback, who has very, very little experience, but he'll be in there. And then most of their success, if you will, has been more so through the pass game, but those are more Blake numbers. Defensively is where Mississippi State is atrocious. They are allowing damn near 40 points per game. So for those who are wondering, how is Texas favored by more than 5 touchdowns in their SEC debut? This is why. This is a product of everybody they've played. They're 113th in the country in points allowed. They're 109th in yards allowed. They're 111th in points per play. They're 106th in yards per play. They allow third down conversions on damn near 50%, and they haven't stopped a fourth down. This is a horrible football team defensively. So, I mean, these are metrics that, ULM and UTSA weren't even cracking. Now, I'm not saying that Mississippi State is worse than them. Obviously, the level of opponent matters as well. But, I mean, opponents are throwing the ball all over them because they know they can get it. They are allowing, I'm pretty sure this is dead last, they're allowing almost 80% completion percentage. What? And you know why this is blank? Because that means they haven't thrown a pick. Or they haven't gotten a pick. Excuse me. They have no picks. So when we get into like the turnover conversation, unless there's like a fumble they've recovered, they're not even getting they're not even getting turnovers. So this is a good opportunity for Quinn to get some good work in, look sharp, and then seed way to arch again. This might even be a Trey Owens game. If we come out with the energy that we've come out the first 4 games, as we should. It's the first conference game. There's no reason why people shouldn't be coming out with their hair on fire to just explode and send a message against a team like this, especially heading into a bye week, knowing kids are already freaking going crazy to get more reps on this team. That's why I said last week the depth on this Texas team is crazy and why it's been so fun and why this team is so competitive and they haven't given up an inch all year. If they come out looking like that, this game's over in the second quarter, and now you're getting a lot of people work. So, yeah, you can win this game with Arch. That's not the question for me. The question isn't if we're comfortable with. I mean, you'll see the Vegas line. Also, pay attention to that. Right now, the line is reflective of me looking like Quinn was probably going to start this football game. I think if Arch started, you'll probably see it go down a little bit just because, the offense might stall a little bit, may not put up as many points. But overall, this is a bad Mississippi State team, y'all. Like I said, they gave up 262 to Scattaboo on Arizona State. You allowed Florida to complete 93% of their passes. Now, juxtapose that with Texas, right? Because I got Texas stats up here too. Since we'll handle this like boxing, right? Tail of the tape. Rest in peace, Anthony Joshua. Respectfully. The tail of the tape. Texas, number 1 in the country in points allowed per game, 5.5. Number 7 in the country, averaging almost 48 points per game. 3rd in the country in points allowed or yards allowed. Number 1 in points, less than 0.1 points per play. Yards per play is 3.6. They're literally top 5 in these metrics. 3rd down is 21%. Opponent red zone scoring, they're number 1 in the country, 33%. Yeah, Sports Fan Jack, they're going to win by 40 no matter what. This is more about us getting our work in, staying sharp, not giving an inch, continue to be the juggernaut that we are, as well as maintaining health. Health is important. Just because I'm saying people need to play if they're healthy doesn't mean that I'm saying that health don't matter, right? Like, these games can be helpful. Ethan Burke, to me, had been struggling. I'll give you an example. Ethan Burke had been struggling, and I think it was a big deal that he had a really good game against ULM. He needed that, in my opinion. Lole had a better game against ULM. He needed that. So some of these guys, just to individually, that haven't been playing their best ball, but the team is so good, these are get-right games. These are get-right snaps. These are get-right reps. And as I said at the beginning of this, there's nothing like game reps, even if you're playing scrubs. There's nothing like game reps. But I mean, Texas is, especially the defensive numbers are insane. I mean, and I don't expect this to change much with them going up against a guy like Chris Parson. Where these numbers will be impacted is obviously the OU game, and OU's offense, while it is putrid, and as the question came up here, thoughts on the OU quarterback situation, that obviously they've announced that they're going to be starting Michael Hawkins Jr. against Auburn. We know he came in the Tennessee game and looked pretty dynamic, especially using his legs. True dual threat. Jackson Arnold completely crashed out. And the Oklahoma faithful have completely thrown him under the bus for everything, even though the entire offense is bad, as we saw against Tennessee and as we've seen all year since Temple. But a guy like Michael Hawkins running around, with not a whole lot of tape on him, will probably have a game and a half at that point. And then Carson back the next week, the level of play will increase, right? So we want to make sure we are maintaining this crazy standard that we have set for ourselves. These are as good numbers as I've seen from a Texas defense against the pass. Even last year, we were elite run, right? I mean, we were actually top 3. This is actually a drop off from last year where we were top 5 against yards per rush in the rush defense. But what we've kind of given up a little bit and made up for on the passing side is where we really want to be if we want to win a national championship. So these metrics here are phenomenal. These are phenomenal metrics here for this Texas defense, for the offense. I think the rushing aspect can only improve. And that's the other thing too, timing, right? I talked about Quinn having timing with the offense and just getting those reps in and that work. Yes, the Texas passing game has been really, really good, especially when they're early in games and they're getting rolling. The run game, while it's been good, I want that run game to get better. I still have, and if you look at the grades, even for our offensive linemen, they're good, not great. in the run category. Our pass blocking grades are actually pretty solid. Starting with Kelvin Banks, who's grading out one of the better left tackles in the country. Surprise, surprise. But run blocking, the Hayden Connors, the Jake Majors, even DJ and Cam can improve there. We've got to, and that's also in unison with the backs, right? Right now, they seem to have a pretty good feel with how Jarrett Gibson's going to run between the tackles. We want to get there with Jaden Blue. Again, said it before, I'm going to say it again. There's a reason why Jaden Blue took 25 carries last week. They want to run the ball like you saw in the Michigan game. When we got to have it, not that we're the best team on the ground and the most efficient team on the ground, but we can run the ball on a 3rd and 2 and pick it up and not have to stress about it and pull our hair out trying to do wildcat packages and all this goofiness. We can line up and play phone booth football if you want to, but we can also get out of there and spread it out. We can be dynamic as possible. That's the beauty of this football team, especially when you mix in, some of the stuff that Sark loves to do in 21 personnel, 22 personnel, those multi-back sets. By the way, I was talking to a friend of mine. We haven't even seen, y'all could comment on this. We haven't even seen diamond formation yet, by the way. The stuff we were doing with Keelan Robinson last year. We have not seen any diamond formation. So, just keep that in mind as well. Keep that in mind as well. Also, we still have the poll up that we created. But a lot of the stuff, when we think about how we've played a lot of the season, it has been pretty vanilla in terms of the play calling. We've just been executing at a very high level, and I like to see that continue on Saturday with this group. But again, as we address the chat, Vandy, Diego's a good quarterback. Florida, you can't sleep on Florida. You can't sleep on Florida, especially if they're coming in there with Lagway in them. I still have respect for it. We should beat Florida. But first time 2 big brands like that will match up down the road. And then Kentucky, my thing with Kentucky is this, as you saw play out in the Georgia game, they are a very physical team. Mark Stoops and that bunch will be prepared. That is the game before A&M. That's the proverbial trap game that a lot of people have circled on Texas's schedule, with us potentially looking forward. If Texas is still number 1 and undefeated at that point, assuming they've gotten past Georgia and they're almost assured a playoff spot at that point, that's been the game that's circled, because Kentucky do have guys. I expect them to get better as the season goes on. So again, we will have to be buttoned up for that. And don't forget Arkansas. Remember, the belt to ass list is OU, Arkansas, and A&M. Do not forget about Arkansas on the belt to ass list. We need to get it back in blood for what happened in Vietnam in 2021. We need to get it back in blood for what happened in Vietnam in 2021. Arkansas is on the list, especially since we're going down there. And they need to go down there and stand on business when we approach that week. So I know a lot of people are excited about OU. A lot of people are excited about A&M. Arkansas is on the belt to ass list. Okay. And when I say that, I've been saying OU should get the Michigan treatment, right? That Michigan Bama treatment, how we prepared for those guys. Same thing with Arkansas, same thing with A&M. Texas needs to get back in the business of putting their rivals to sleep. That's the business we want to be in. Over under on Texas scoring 60. I might consider the over on it. I don't think we've broken 60 yet this year. I think the highest we got was 56, 58 against UTSA, whatever that score was. So, especially if Mississippi State maybe scores a touchdown or two, which I don't see. I think I think Mississippi State may get 10 points on the board, if that. But Yeah, Texas might go out like that. Again, depends on who starts at quarterback and how quickly they get their work done. Um, Sports fan Jack said, I think Sark runs it up with Quinn coming back. And it definitely feels like for the first time in a long time that our DBs actually turn around on deep balls. And yeah, no, they do. But let's also consider this, folks. The the development of Jade Barron out at field corner, Manny Muhammad, and how well he's played since his freshman year. Jalen Gilbo being good enough in the nickel to allow Jade Barron to go outside. Gavin Holmes, when he's been in the game, has been challenged. Javion Cole, when he's in the game, has been challenged. Kobe Black, when he's in the game, has been challenged. So these guys and then the back end comms at safety is tremendous between Andrew Makuba and Michael Taft, right? So those guys are just such efficient communicators that they're able to fix problems on the fly. They're able to diagnose what the offense is doing. And then you add Jade Barron in that film junkie group. Um, those guys are unbelievable on what they're doing in the secondary. And I give a lot of credit to Jade and the commitment that he's made to play a bunch of different positions. He's not just playing corner. He's lined up at safety. He's lined up in the field. He's lined up at backer. He's lined up on the line. Like he's doing everything back there. So so far I think he's playing at an all SEC level. He's grading out at a 90 grade above on PFF. So Jade is balling, folks. He's balling. Uh, Thoughts on Connor Weigman? Think his job is gone. I mean, I think Marcel Reese over there at A&M, that offense is better suited what Colin Klein likes to do coming from Kansas State. I think it's better suited for Marcel Reese. Marcel Reed, I said it when before the season that Marcel should be in there. It has nothing to do with Connor. I think Connor's still very talented. It just goes to show when you're in a bad scheme and you don't have the best of coaches. I wouldn't want. I don't know how I feel about Colin Klein developing quarterbacks and at a high level, and I think that's going to hurt them in recruiting. Honestly, they're going to have to recruit to their scheme, but he's probably going to be a high leverage portal guy with Jackson Arnold. So whenever that thank you IG post comes out like Sluka, that shit's going to hit like crack. Y'all just wait. Y'all just wait. Any other questions, comments we want to address on here? I appreciate you guys being interactive in the chat and being patient on some of the technical stuff we had earlier today. But yeah, I mean, just to quick recap: Quinn Ewers, if he's healthy, for his sake, for the team's sake, needs to go ahead and play. Let's look good. And again, I don't want players and guys fear, if he's injured and if there's legit concerns, yeah, set him out, right? Like I'm talking about within reason. But I don't want healthy players sitting down on the bench. We only get 12 games with these guys in the regular season. Their individual aspirations matter to me. I know some Texas fans only want to consider beating OU and winning the championship, and that's it. It matters to me that he wants to, those are accolades and things that he deserves. And it's also impacting his money at the next level. He needs to show that he can be a reliable franchise quarterback and have that availability. That matters to me. Who are you rooting for this weekend in Georgia versus Bama? I don't have a rooting interest in that game, in all seriousness. All I will say is this. I think Texas may have a decision to make depending on if Georgia wins that game and they're undefeated coming into Austin, and let's say they get, they could potentially, depending on how they look against Bama, they could potentially take back the number one spot. Who cares? I don't know. But you'll probably have a number one versus number two matchup potentially in Austin after Texas OU. How much do you show in that first game? Because you're now assuming that's going to be the first of what could be 2 or 3 games against Georgia, depending on how the playoffs go and depending on the SEC championship game. How much do you show in that first game? Versus if Georgia loses to Bama and Georgia's coming in here with 1 loss, when I in here, I mean Austin, Texas, do you now go all out to beat them because it's quote unquote potentially elimination game? Think about it. Do you try to eliminate them? So those are very real things. I think that dynamic has moved around in my head. If Georgia's undefeated, I may just play them straight up and see how the first round goes, knowing we're going to play each other again and knowing it's really difficult to beat the same team multiple times. Or if they come in here on a loss, do I try to put them out of their misery now? We'll see after this weekend. We will be watching that Alabama Georgia game. Georgia going to Tuscaloosa, going to Alabama. That is the game day. It's obviously the biggest game of the weekend, biggest game potentially of the season so far. So we will be paying a lot of attention to that. Sports fan Jack said that QB duo at Mississippi State going to go crazy with him and Jackson Arnold. Stop it. Michigan need to hit one of them boys up. I mean, they can throw, either one of them could go to Michigan and throw for more than 31 yards like Orji did. But it's crazy. It's crazy that Texas A&M and OU were the 2 loudest fan bases talking about quarterback controversy at Texas. Raise your hand if an A&M fan or an OU fan got in your face this offseason about, when is Arch going to take over for Quinn? When's Arch going to about quarterback controversy at Texas? And look at them now. Karma's crazy, isn't it? Karma's crazy, isn't it, Texas A&M? Karma's crazy, isn't it, OU? I know we all went through it as Texas fans. We heard that all offseason about quarterback controversy. Yeah, yeah. We all heard it from a friend or a fellow fan out there. Quarterback controversy. Be careful what you wish for. Keep that same energy. Folks, thank you to Bleacher Report. Thank you to everybody here that is participating in the chat. If you download the app, make sure you're on the app. If however you're watching this, very, very grateful for the platform, opportunity to talk Texas. I'll be back next week. We're doing this all season, Longhorn weeklies here. Everything to and fro to get ready for the game and to keep up with all the storylines that are happening, right? And so excited for the SEC debut. Excited to see if Quinn Ewers is back with the team, getting some more reps before OU, and going into the bye week strong, right? Going into the bye week 5-0, healthy, and ready to take on the meat of our schedule. So make sure you hit the like button, the whole thing, subscribe. Fanatic Perspective on YouTube is where you can find me on all social media platforms. I appreciate you guys. And remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.